Hi everyone, now let's talk about the target weld, the mesh to center, and as well as the collapse button. Now I have in my scene a plane combined together and two spheres, rather. So let's demonstrate how the target weld works, all right? So how it works is this: it takes a particular vertex and it welds it to a target vertex, all right? And it has two options, either target or center. Basically, the welded vertices or vertex will either be at the target position or at the center. Those are the two options. Now, with target weld, if you look at a plane we have in the viewport, if I go all the way down to my modeling toolkit, I have this button here called target weld. It's either with this or with this one here on the poly modeling shelf. So I could turn this guy on and I have target weld turn on, or I could also turn it on here. Now, by default, yours might be sent to the target, all right? Which it means that I want to weld a selected vertex to a target vertex, and the resulting vertex will be at the position of the target vertex. So to demonstrate this, let me turn on display. I'm going to turn on the vertex ID, so we'll see the numbers, all right? So let's say I want to weld vertex 63 to vertex 71, all right? And it's set to target. I only need to click and drag on vertex 63. As I drag to vertex 71, you see an orange vertical line that basically shows me where the target position will be. In essence, the final result of the target. So if I let go of my mouse button, you see that basically I've been able to weld one vertex to the other. Meanwhile, the resulting vertex stays at the position of the target vertex. Okay, so that is how this works. Now, if I set this to center and I want to target weld vertex 56 to vertex 64, what that will do is basically this. It will look for the center of these two vertices, all right? It will weld these two, but at the same time, move the resulting vertex to the midpoint between the two of them. So that's just all it does. So if I go down here and let's just go back here. I'm gonna go down to target weld. If I hit target weld, so if I click and drag, notice it's set to center here. If I click and drag at this point, you see a green dot at the center here, all right? So this is where the resulting vertex will be, this green dot. So if I let go of my mouse button, I will see that it's welded those two vertices and the result is at the middle of both of them. So that is how target weld button works in both the target option and the center option. And that's just all. Then the next two we want to talk about is, let's go to the object mode of this. For the one here is the, let me delete my blue pencil here, mesh to center, which is basically this button you have here, all right? So how this works is it takes some selected vertices and weld them to the average center of all the selected vertices. How to demonstrate that is, let's quickly delete or basically remove some faces here, and let me just cover that hole up. Fill hole, right? So now I want to select some vertices. Now I have all these vertices selected, but I still go ahead and turn on my vertex numbers. I think they are just all over the places. If I turn that off for now, just so that I will see this very clear. Okay. And I could also delete like one half of this. All right. Just for the sake of clarity. Now let's see how to select some certain vertices we have up here and convert those field selection to vertices. Now these vertices, the average center of everything I have here should be around this point here. So what weld to center we do is we take the distance of all the vertices and look for the average, right? And weld everything together. Then the resulting vertex will be at that center point we have there. So that should be around here, okay? Which is like the center of everything. So if I want to proceed with that, if I select my object and I go down to the vertices and I hit on merge to center here. You see that all the vertices I had there initially has been welded to this point down here. It has one option though. The only option for that is to weld with a certain distance threshold. So if I go down to my attribute editor, I will see distance threshold, which is set to 0. If it's set to 0, it means that most of them will weld, while some of them might not weld. All right, but if you want to weld all the vertices that have been selected, you must increase your distance threshold. Okay, so if I have that if I turn that to 0, you will see that if I select all the vertices I have at that point, and I go to my modeling toolkit, you will see I have 5 vertices selected, and the viewport is just 1 that you're seeing there. It means there are some vertices that just lie on top of each other. They're not welded together. But however, if I increase my distance threshold, okay, the distance between the vertices, that once the distance between them is above this threshold, they weld. So I have 0.83 here, which should be a good value for us to weld the vertices together. If I come back to my modeling toolkit and select everything here, you see I have just one vertex selected. So that means that the distance between vertices at that point is, of course, lower than my distance threshold. So that welds them together. So that is how the mesh to center works. And the final one I want to look at is a collapse. So I have another sphere here, my viewpoint, right? And this basically works mostly with the faces you have in the viewport or on the object. If I select some certain faces here, let's just grab all of this. I'm gonna go to that selection. Okay. Now, if I hit on collapse, which is this button I have here, what it will just do is just collapse all the faces that are selected together as just one vertex. All right. So if I hit collapse, that's what happens. So let me undo this and do that again. Look at what happens on the viewport here. Collapse, and you see this happens. So we've learned 3 things: the target weld, which is the same as this button here, the mesh to center for vertices 2, and the collapse button.